I just got the biggest bonus of my life, $45,000. After 3 years of grinding at my tech job, staying late, debugging code until my eyes burned, this was it. My ticket to freedom. I could finally pay off those student loans, put down a deposit on my own place, and start living like an actual adult instead of a 28-year-old still bunking with his parents. I was beyond excited. But there was just one strange thing. When I came home that Thursday night, my family already knew about it. Every single detail. The exact amount, the timing, everything. And I had not told them a word. Before I tell you how my own family violated my privacy and stole my future, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story will show you why boundaries matter, even with blood relatives. Now, let me take you back to when everything fell apart. My name is Alfonso, and at 28 years old, I thought I had it pretty good. I worked as a software engineer at a tech startup in Austin, Texas. The job was not glamorous, but it was solid. I had spent 3 years there working on their main product, putting in overtime whenever they needed it, taking on projects other people did not want to touch. The pay was decent, but like most tech startups, they promised big rewards down the line if we stuck it out through the early days. So I stuck it out. I lived with my parents, Gregory and Linda, and my younger brother Kyle in their house in the suburbs. It was not ideal for a guy my age, but it made financial sense. I paid them $800 a month for rent, helped out with groceries, and saved the rest. I had student loans hanging over my head, $32,000 worth. That number sat in my mind like a weight I could not shake off. My family seemed normal enough on the surface. Dad worked in sales. Mom was a part-time bookkeeper, and Kyle, who was 24, floated between odd jobs and long stretches of unemployment. We ate dinner together most nights. We talked about our days. It felt like a regular family setup. But looking back now, there were signs I missed. Dad always asked a lot of questions about my job. How much was I making? What kind of benefits did I get? Were there bonuses coming? At the time, I thought he was just being a proud father interested in my career. Mom had this thing she would say whenever money came up. Family shares with family, she would remind us. We take care of each other. It sounded sweet, wholesome even. Kyle borrowed money from me pretty regularly. $20 here, $50 there. He always promised to pay me back, but he never did. I let it slide. He was my little brother. What else was I supposed to do? Then came that Thursday in late February. I was at my desk knee-deep in debugging a payment processing module when an email popped up from our CEO. My heart jumped when I saw the subject line. Bonus notification. I clicked it open, barely breathing. The company had just closed a major funding round, Series B. Investors were happy. The product was performing well. And to reward the employees who had been there from the beginning, they were giving out bonuses. I scrolled down to the number, $45,000. Before taxes, but still, $45,000. I sat there staring at the screen, reading it over and over to make sure it was real. This was life-changing money. I could wipe out my student loans. I could finally move out, get my own place, start fresh. My hands were shaking as I calculated the after-tax amount in my head, probably around $34,000, enough to pay off the loans with some left over for a deposit on an apartment. I wanted to tell someone. I wanted to shout it from the rooftops, but something stopped me. I decided to keep it quiet, at least until the money actually hit my account. I did not want the pressure. I did not want people asking me for things or making suggestions about how I should spend it. This was my money, my hard work, my decision. I told one person, Garrett, my buddy at work. We had started at the company around the same time, and he was getting a bonus too. We grabbed lunch that day and talked about what we were going to do with the money. He was putting his toward a down payment on a house. I told him my plan: pay off the loans, find an apartment, finally get some independence. Over the next 2 weeks, I started apartment hunting. I looked at 3 different places near my office. Small studios, nothing fancy, but they were mine. I found one I really liked. 600 square feet, clean, good natural light, and the rent was $1,400 a month. I could swing that. I started preparing my application, getting my documents together, planning my move-in date for early April. I felt lighter than I had in years, like I was finally taking control of my life. Every time I walked into that house where I'd been living for too long, I reminded myself it was temporary. Soon, I would have my own space, my own rules, my own life. Then came the first sign that something was wrong. It was 3 days after I got the email about the bonus. The money had not hit my account yet, but I was already planning. We were sitting at dinner, the four of us eating the spaghetti Mom had made. Normal Thursday night. Dad was quiet for most of the meal, which was unusual. He liked to talk. Then, out of nowhere, he looked up at me. "So, Alfonso," he said, setting down his fork. "I heard your company is doing really well. Any good news on your end?" I felt a little jolt in my chest. I kept my face neutral. "Yeah, we closed our funding round. Things are stable." He smiled. "Just stable? I thought there might be some bonuses involved." I stared at him. How did he know that I had not said anything? Not to him, not to Mom, not to Kyle, just Garrett. And Garrett would not have told anyone. "Where did you hear that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. Dad shrugged, still smiling. "Oh, you know how it is. Word gets around. Tech companies always reward early employees." That was not an answer. That was a dodge. But before I could press him, Mom jumped in. "We are so proud of you, honey," she said, reaching over to squeeze my hand. "You work so hard. It would be wonderful if you could help the family celebrate." Kyle, who had been scrolling on his phone, looked up. "Yeah, man. Maybe we could all take a vacation together. We have not done that in years." I felt my stomach tighten. They were talking like this was already a done deal, like my money was family money, like I owed them something. "I appreciate that," I said slowly. "But I have plans for that money. I need to pay off my student loans." There was a pause. Dad's smile faded a little. "Student loans can wait," he said. "Family is more important." I did not know what to say to that. I finished my dinner in silence and went up to my room. I lay in bed that night staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how they knew. Had I left the email open on my laptop? Had someone at work mentioned it? Had I said something without realizing it? I checked my email history. I checked my text messages. Nothing. The only person I had told was Garrett. And there was no way he would have contacted my family. We were not even connected on social media. It did not make sense, but I told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe Dad had just made a lucky guess. Maybe he had read some article about tech company bonuses and put two and two together. I tried to brush it off. 1 week later, the money came through. I was at work when the notification popped up on my phone. A deposit from my company. $34,217 after taxes. It was real. I sat there in my cubicle staring at my phone, feeling this huge wave of relief and excitement wash over me. This was it. This was my fresh start. I took a breath, pulled up my student loan account, started the process to pay off the full balance. I would do it over the weekend, get it done. Then I would contact the landlord about that studio apartment, sign the lease, move in by the end of the month. I went home that evening feeling like I was walking on air. But the second I opened the front door, I knew something was off. Mom, Dad, and Kyle were all sitting in the living room, waiting. They were not watching TV. They were not on their phones. They were just sitting there looking at the door like they had been expecting me. "Alfonso," Dad said, standing up. "Sit down. We need to talk about something important." My stomach dropped. I sat down on the edge of the armchair across from them. Dad folded his hands in his lap, putting on his serious face. "Your mother and I have been thinking. We have sacrificed a lot to raise you and Kyle. We let you stay here, pay low rent so you could save money and get ahead in life." Mom nodded, her eyes getting watery. And now that you have received this wonderful bonus, we thought it would be fair if you contributed to a family trip. We have not had a real vacation in over 10 years, Alfonso. Not a real one." Kyle leaned forward. "Come on, Alfonso. It would be awesome. A cruise to the Caribbean. All of us together. We already looked at packages. It would be amazing." I felt like the room was closing in on me. "How do you even know I got a bonus?" I asked. Dad waved the question away like it was nothing. "That is not important. What matters is family. We are asking for $15,000. That is reasonable, right? You will still have plenty left." $15,000. More than a third of what I had left. Gone. Just like that. For a trip I did not even want to go on. "I appreciate everything you have done," I said carefully. "But I have plans for that money. I need to pay off my student loans. I have been carrying that debt for years." Dad's face hardened. "Student loans can wait. Family cannot. We raised you, Alfonso. We put a roof over your head, food on the table. This is the least you can do to show some gratitude." Mom started crying. Actual tears. "I cannot believe you would be so selfish, after everything we have done for you." Kyle shook his head. "Dude, it is just 15,000. You still have plenty left. Do not be cheap." I felt anger rising in my chest, but I kept it down. "I'm not being selfish. This is my money. I earned it. I will help the family when I can, but not like this. Not when I have debt to pay off." Dad stood up and his voice got louder. "You are living under our roof. You owe us respect. You owe us gratitude. We are not asking for much." I could not take it anymore. I stood up and walked out of the room, went upstairs, locked my bedroom door. My hands were shaking. I felt guilty and angry at the same time. Was I being selfish? Was I wrong to want to use my own money for my own goals? I did not sleep well that night. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, trying to figure out if I was the bad guy here. 2 days later, I found out I was not the bad guy. Not even close. I was getting ready to transfer money to pay off my student loans. I logged into my bank account on my laptop, and I froze. The balance was wrong. Way wrong. I had $34,217 2 days ago. Now I had $19,217. $15,000 were gone. I clicked on the transaction history, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. There it was, a transfer, made yesterday morning. While I was at work. $15,000, sent to an external account. The name on the receiving account was Gregory Martinez, my father. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I could not breathe. I grabbed my phone and called my bank immediately. "Yes, sir," the representative said. "That transaction was completed yesterday at 9:42 a.m. It was initiated online using your login credentials from an IP address registered to your home." "I did not authorize that," I said, my voice shaking. "Someone else did it." "I understand, sir, but the login was correct and it came from your registered address. If you believe this was fraud, you will need to file a police report." I hung up. I sat there for a full minute, just staring at my screen. Then I stood up, grabbed my laptop, and went downstairs. They were all in the living room again, watching TV like nothing had happened. "You took my money," I said. My voice came out louder than I intended. "You went into my account and took my money." Dad did not even look surprised. He just muted the TV and turned to me. "I did what was necessary. You refused to help your family, so I helped myself." "How did you even get into my account?" I asked. Mom looked up at me and there was not a trace of guilt on her face. "We saw your bank statements, Alfonso. They were in the mail. We have been opening your mail for months. How else would we know you could afford to help us?" I felt the floor drop out from under me. They had been reading my mail. For months. Going through my personal documents. Seeing my account balances. My transactions. Everything. That is illegal, I said, barely able to get the words out. Opening someone else's mail is a federal crime. Kyle laughed. Actually laughed. Relax, man. It is for the family cruise. We already booked it. Non-refundable. We leave in 3 weeks. You're coming with us. Dad nodded. You should be happy. You are part of this family. This is what families do. I want my money back, I said. Now. Too late, Dad said, turning the TV back on. The cruise is paid for. Consider it your contribution. You still have enough left for whatever you need. I stood there staring at them, these people who raised me, who I thought I knew, and I realized I did not know them at all. They did not see me as a person. They saw me as a source of money, a piggy bank they could crack open whenever they wanted. I did not say another word. I went back upstairs, locked my door, and started planning. I did not sleep that night. I could not. I lay in bed with my laptop open, researching, reading, planning. By the time the sun came up, I knew exactly what I needed to do. They had stolen from me, violated my privacy, treated me like I was nothing more than a wallet with legs, and they thought I was just going to accept it, go on their stupid cruise and pretend everything was fine. They were wrong. I called in sick to work the next morning. Then I got dressed, grabbed my wallet, and left the house before anyone else was awake. First stop was the bank, a different bank than the one I had been using. I walked in and opened a completely new account, checking and savings. I transferred every single dollar from my old account into the new one, $19,217. Then I closed the old account. Done. They could not touch it anymore. Next, I changed every single password I had. Bank account, email, social media, work accounts, everything. I set up two-factor authentication on all of it. I made sure that even if they somehow got my passwords again, they would not be able to access anything without my phone. Then I went to the post office. I filled out a change of address form and rented a P.O. box. Every piece of mail that came to the house would now be forwarded to that box. I updated my address with my employer, my bank, my student loan servicer, my insurance company. Everywhere. After that, I called the landlord of that studio apartment I had looked at, the one I loved. Is it still available? I asked. It is, she said. I will take it. When can I move in? I can have it ready in 3 days. Perfect. I paid the deposit right there over the phone. $2,800, first and last month's rent. I signed the lease electronically. It was done. I had a place, my own place. I went home and started packing. I did not have much. Clothes, books, my laptop and electronics, personal stuff, photos from college, a few things that mattered to me. I left everything that belonged to the family. Furniture they had bought, kitchen stuff. I did not want any of it. I did not want anything that would tie me to them. I hired a small moving company for that Saturday. I timed it perfectly. My family had gone out shopping for the cruise. Buying new clothes, sunscreen, whatever. They would be gone for hours. The movers showed up at 10 a.m. We loaded everything into the truck in less than 2 hours. My entire life fit into one small moving van. It was sad and liberating at the same time. Before I left, I sat down at the kitchen table and wrote a letter. I did not owe them an explanation, but I wanted them to know exactly why I was doing this. I wrote Gregory, Linda, and Kyle. By the time you read this, I will be gone. What you did was not just wrong. It was illegal. Reading someone's mail is a federal offense. Accessing my bank account without permission is theft and fraud. I could press charges, but I will not. Not because you deserve mercy, but because I deserve peace. You took $15,000 from me. Consider it the price of my freedom. I will not be joining you on your cruise. I will not be coming back to this house. Do not contact me. Do not show up at my workplace. I am changing my number, my address, and my life. You taught me an important lesson. Family is not just about blood. It is about respect, boundaries, and trust. You violated all three. I hope your cruise is worth it. Alfonso. I left the letter on the kitchen table with my house key sitting on top of it. Then I walked out the door for the last time. The apartment was small, but it was mine. I spent that first night sitting on the floor because I did not have furniture yet. But I did not care. I felt free. Actually free. For the first time in my life, I was living in a space where no one could go through my things, read my mail, or steal my money. I changed my phone number the next day. I blocked all of them on every platform. Facebook, Instagram, everything. I updated my emergency contact at work to Garrett instead of my parents. I told my boss in HR that if anyone came looking for me or asking questions, they should not give out any information. My father tried calling my old number. Over and over. I never answered. My mom sent emails. Long, rambling messages about how hurt she was, how I was tearing the family apart, how ungrateful I was. I deleted them without reading past the first line. Kyle sent texts. Angry ones. Calling me selfish. Calling me worse things. I blocked him, too. After about a week, they stopped. They realized I was serious. They went on their cruise. I know because Kyle posted photos on social media before I blocked him. They were on a boat, smiling, drinking cocktails, living it up on my $15,000. I did not care. I was building something better. The first few months in my new apartment were strange. Good strange, but strange. I had to learn how to be alone. Really alone. No family dinners. No one asking where I was going or when I would be back. Just me. I used the money I had left to pay down a big chunk of my student loans. $15,000 went straight to the balance. It hurt to see that much money disappear, but it felt good too. I was taking control. I was making progress. I still had about $17,000 left to pay off, but I'd cut my debt almost in half. Living on my own was different than I expected. I had to cook for myself, do my own grocery shopping, budget carefully, pay utilities. It was all on me now. Some days it felt overwhelming, but most days it felt right. I joined a gym near my apartment, started going 3 times a week. It gave me structure, something to do besides work and sit at home. I met a few people there, not close friends, but people to nod at chat with between sets. It was nice. There were moments when I felt lonely, when I would come home after a long day and realize there was no one to talk to, no family dinner waiting. I would think about the good times, the times before I knew what they were really like. Holiday dinners, movie nights. I missed those memories. But then I would remember them reading my mail, taking my money, and the loneliness did not seem so bad anymore. Garrett became my closest friend during that time. We started hanging out outside of work, grabbing beers on Friday nights, watching games. He never pushed me to talk about my family, but when I did, he listened. He did not judge. He just listened. That meant more than I could put into words. I also got to know my neighbors. There was an older couple who lived across the hall, Helen and Tom. They had to be in their 70s. Retired. They noticed me moving in by myself and invited me over for dinner one night. We talked for hours. They told me about their kids, their grandkids, their lives. They did not ask about my family. They did not pry. They just welcomed me. After that, we had dinner together once a month, sometimes more. They became like the grandparents I never really had. I started to realize something. Family does not have to be blood. Family is the people who show up for you, who respect you, who treat you like you matter. Garrett was family. Helen and Tom were family. My actual relatives. They were just people I used to live with. About 6 months after I moved out, Garrett mentioned something he had heard through a mutual acquaintance. My family was struggling financially. My dad had lost his job. The company he worked for had done layoffs, and he was one of the ones let go. Kyle still did not have steady work. They were having trouble paying the mortgage. They had to sell the house. They moved into a smaller apartment on the other side of town. Garrett said they had tried reaching out to me through people we both knew, asking if I could help them, asking if I would talk to them. I did not respond. I did not feel good about their situation. I did not take any pleasure in knowing they were struggling, but I also did not feel responsible for fixing it. They had made their choices. They had stolen from me. Violated my trust. I had made my choice too, and that choice was to protect myself. Some people might call that cold, but I call it self-preservation. A year after I moved out, I was sitting in my apartment on a Saturday morning. I had just finished paying off my student loans completely. Every last dollar. Gone. I was debt-free for the first time since college. I sat there staring at the zero balance on my screen, and I felt this enormous weight lift off my shoulders. I'd also gotten a promotion at work, more responsibility, better pay. I was doing well, really well. I had friends. I had stability. I had peace. I thought about my family sometimes. I wondered if they ever regretted what they did, if they ever realized how badly they messed up. I doubted it. People like that do not usually change. They just find new people to take advantage of. But I learned something important through all of this. I learned that you have to set boundaries, even with family. Especially with family sometimes. Love does not mean letting people walk all over you. Love does not mean sacrificing yourself until there is nothing left. Real love respects boundaries. Real love does not steal. Real love does not violate your privacy or treat you like a piggy bank. I also learned that forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. I do not hate my family. I do not sit around thinking about revenge or wishing bad things on them. I have forgiven them in the sense that I have let go of the anger. I do not carry that weight anymore. But forgiveness does not mean I have to let them back into my life. Some doors once closed need to stay closed. I am proud of the choice I made. Walking away was hard. It hurt. There were nights I cried. Nights I doubted myself. Nights I wondered if I was doing the right thing. But looking back now, I know I was. I protected myself. I built a life I am proud of. I found people who actually care about me. Sometimes the hardest thing is not cutting toxic people out of your life. It is accepting that they were toxic in the first place. My family taught me what I did not want to become. And for that, in a strange way, I am grateful. Because now I know what real family should feel like. And I am building that one day at a time. So if you are watching this and you are dealing with something similar, let me ask you this. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? Have you ever walked away from people you loved because they did not respect you? Drop a comment below and share your story. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find the strength to protect yourself too. Take care of yourself out there. You deserve respect, you deserve boundaries, and you deserve peace.